Honorable Swart.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, I do understand that much of what we've been presented today and the decisions that were taken was on the basis of information that Eskom furnished you. Now, you've also said you've learnt a lot of lessons out of this process. So it starts with the information you got in the leg file relating to the employment contract, which appears to be incorrect because it was a fixed-term contract and not a full contract of employment. So it seems that going forward, you're going to have to recheck and research every bit of information you get from Eskom as the Eskom pension fund. You can't rely on the information that you get in. Because had you have just asked for the contract, you would have seen the contract, I've got it here, says a fixed-term contract, and that would have been the end of the matter. So I think one can learn lessons, but to me, it's a straightforward issue that you should get the contracts of employment as a pension fund. But I do want to also state that the pension fund industry in general, what is happening here is where people buy back pension. I mean, we are faced with this in Parliament with other matters. I'm on the Justice Portfolio Committee where we saw the golden handshakes that are being paid to people, such as Mr. Nkosana, the previous NDPP, and there's a lot of questions around these issues. So in those cases, it's golden handshakes. In this case, it seems to have been to get rid of people. Here it is to benefit a specific issue. So this is an issue that we need to be aware of. There are rules that apply for that, and you rely on those rules. But at the heart of your problem is the governmental issue relating to 28.5, and that is your, sorry, 28.3, and that's the delegation of a discretion. Now, I'm astounded that you should have, as a board and management, have allowed a discretion to be delegated, because you've got specifics here, 28, Rule 28, that allows for a deviation, an early retirement, and massive funds. But the caveat, the check and balance is there. The board may apply. So it must be taken at a board level. So whilst that decision, the delegation that went down earlier, prior to your time, but surely it should have been questioned. Why only right at the September of this year is it for the first time that a legal opinion is obtained on that issue, which to me is so straightforward? A discretion cannot be delegated. Have you got any explanation for that?
I think, as indicated, that obviously out of this whole issue, we've learned as well. So we have to accept that there was a delegation that was in place. I think there was no reason to question that delegation. It had been applied. It had been applied successfully in the past. I think now, with all these issues that have emerged, it was only proper to really now, firstly, sought legal opinion, because these are not easy issues. Not all of us are legal, expertise. Hence why the board insisted that we need to get legal opinion to understand whether was it correct in the first place to delegate discretion. And we now know better that this should not have happened. And importantly, the board took immediate corrective action to actually then revoke that delegation, that in all the rules, anything that has to do with discretion needs to now be presented to the board from that point onwards. I think you also raised the issue around the contracts of employment. I think it's actually going to be, it may be a challenge, because this is something that we have to engage with Eskom in terms of what information we can access. I think you need to recall there's about 46,000 active employees, and every month there's movement. There's people that leave Eskom, there's people that join Eskom. So the fund is not capacitated to be able to now interrogate each document. I think there needs to be more closer correlation between what happens at Eskom and the information that they give to the fund. Again, we've started processes, and one of the steps that we've already taken is to go back to Eskom and write to them to say to them, look, there is this issue around the eligibility of Molefe. Can you go through your records and check whether there is any other fixed-term contractors or fixed-term contract employees which you've categorized as permanent employees. And Eskom is currently going through a process of actually checking that. So I think going forward, we need to establish more closer cooperation and more, closer interaction in terms of making sure that these errors do not occur.
Thank you. You make the assumption that the previous ones were correctly done, but we don't know that. And your board won't know it because the discretion was delegated down. One assumes that, but you see, the board might be interested in that regard as well. But the other point is you might limit your contracts that you ask for the top-level executives where there's a high turnover and where there's a lot of pension money involved, but that is just a suggestion. What I wanted to ask you, had the Sunday Times on the 16th of April not disclosed this issue, and had the other newspapers, Daily Maverick, you referred to them, 17th of July, had they not disclosed this issue, would it have gone ahead? Because it seems that what you've told us is that the rules were complied with as far as you're concerned correctly, you'd got information, and the payment was continuing. So had it not been in the media, it would have continued. Is that my correct understanding?
It is correct, because we would have not had access to that information, and we would not have known better.
And had the minister, did the minister at any time liaise with you?
No.
And so at the time the minister issued her objection to that was, besides the media, it was also when she indicated she was objecting to that payout. Is that correct as well? The 30 million.
I can only comment from what I read in the media. I do not, we as a fund have no direct communication with the minister. So we only read what was being cited in the media as well.
And so from what you've learned so far, and we've got a lengthy document from you, but just the figure, I just wanted to get an understanding. Is it correct it's around 9 million that was paid to Mr. Molefe, and he's repaying that? And is he paying it to the pension fund or to Eskom? And if so, what is the arrangement for that repayment? The figure might not, it's not important, but just the principle of the matter.
Maybe let me just go back a little bit. When Mr. Molefe was reinstated to Eskom, we received correspondence from Eskom reiterating that we should suspend paying him pension. Attached to that, we were advised that he's now been reinstated. We were also advised that he was on unpaid leave. Attached to that, there was also, a statement. I can't remember whether it was a separate agreement or it was included in that letter, where they indicated that they had agreed with him that he will pay back the monies by November 2017. Then there was this court process that started. So everything is now stopped, subject to the outcome of the court process. So as we stand now, Mr. Molefe has not paid back any money. The fund has not paid Eskom its money, so the fund received 30.1 million. It paid out about 9.7 million to Molefe as a one-third lump sum. It also paid him monthly pensions. So we are holding back in the region of about 20 million of this amount that is being held in the fund until this whole court process is complete and there's an outcome. And based on that outcome, if we have to seek legal advice in terms of how to process the matter, we will do that.
And I am grateful for the information that you've furnished, bearing in mind that it is subject to a court process as well. So, Chair, those are my questions from my side. Thank you.